Hello everyone, welcome to our YouTube channel Skill RPA. So in previous videos we have covered like how we can integrate UiPath Test Manager Connect, leverage UiPath Test Manager Connect to integrate between the Test Manager and the Azure DevOps. So we have the playlist like first introduction of UiPath Test Manager Connect. If you are not aware of what actually the UiPath Test Manager Connect and different components we have, and also establishing the repository connections. So in this video, we have covered like how we can establish the repository connection between UiPath Test Manager and UiPath Test Manager Connect. And also we have something related to Azure DevOps, but in this video, we are going to cover the integration between the test manager and the Atlassian JIRA. So for establishing the repository connection between the UiPath Test Manager and Test Manager Connect, you can refer to the video number 2. And in this video, we will just establish the repository connection for JIRA, and then we will do the integration between JIRA and UiPath Test Manager Connect. And here we are not using any X-ray as of now, so that the integration between the Test Manager and the JIRA will have only the requirements artifact and the defect. So requirements will be bidirectional and the defect will be single direction. So for that, like we will be clicking on the new repository connection in order to establish the repository connection between the JIRA and UiPath Test Manager Connect. So we'll select Atlassian JIRA and we'll give the name of JIRA connection, and we will be giving the URL. So URL will be till.net, and the authentication we will select authentication email address and API token. So we can have a scheduled turn off also, like we can just give that like when the connection can be disabled. So here we need to provide the email address and the JIRA API token. So to get the JIRA API token, we need to open id.atlassian manage profile and API tokens. So from here we can create a new API key. So I'll say task stop test manager, and I'm just keeping the date, and we can just change the date also whenever is required. So I'm just keeping it for the Jan 3rd. Click on create, and we'll copy this API token and we'll be pasting it in the test manager connect. And here in the email address, we'll be providing the login email ID, and click on save. Click on done. So our connection is established. In case if there is any issues when we are establishing the connection, either the URL or username or API is incorrect, then the connection will never be established. So when if it is showing the screen means like our repository connection is established perfectly. And when we are doing the connect, after establishing the repository connections, we need to look at our models. Model will be as a bridge between these two applications. And for Azure DevOps, what we have done is we have created a custom model without leveraging the existing default models. But here, what we will do is we will leverage the existing models already which are got created. So in this case, we will be using story for the issues between the JIRA and the requirements, and defect for defect integration. So there are only two integrations. So we are not creating any specific model because we are having very less required labels and all. So we will not be creating any new model here, and directly we will be jumping into the collections and we are going to create a new collection. So for that, click on new collection, select work items and give the JIRA story. And we'll select the repository JIRA connection and we'll click on the manage projects and we'll select the projects. So we don't have any project. We'll create one project here for this particular project integration. And I'm going with the Scrum, use template, team managed, and I'll give test manager integration. So TES, click on next, and our project is getting created. Meanwhile, we will create a project in the test manager also. JIRA integration test manager, JIM. Click on create. So our projects are got created for both UiPath Test Manager and also for the JIRA. So under the issues, we'll click on create and we'll create a new story. So story to sync with test manager. I'm just creating a sample story. Click on create because we are just testing only the integration. So refresh. So we have a story created. Why we are creating the story before establishing the repository connection is without having a story, it cannot fetch the fields whatever is required. So that we will see when we are creating the bug, we will see that issue and we will look at how that actually works. And now click on manage projects. Still we could not able to see. So click on refresh. And now I could able to see test manager integration. So I'll just move the selected and click on done. And here I'll be selecting story and here it is story. Click on save. So my collection is ready. Now I need to check for the mapping of the fields, whether those are as expected or not. If any fields are not mapped properly, then we just need to map it. So as of now, everything looks well for me, but there will be an error which we are going to get and we will see how we are going to resolve it as well. So as of now, everything is as expected. And here we will not change anything, but in test manager we'll be changing and click on the configure relationships, parent to parent, which is not required for me. So I'll delete and click on save. Because for the requirements, we doesn't want to map any parents. In case if you want to map it, like in case if you have any linked issues or some linked stories or something, you can do that, but it is not required because the parent is not available in the UiPath Test Manager. So we have created a collection for the JIRA story. Now we need to create one more collection for the Test Manager requirements. Click on New Collection, Work Items, Test Manager Requirements for JIRA. Or else what I will do is I'll put JIRA first. JIRA underscore Test Manager Requirements. And we'll select the repository UiPath Test Manager and manage projects. Click on refresh. I got JIRA integration TM selected. Click on done. And here we'll be selecting requirement because it's for the test manager. And the model in the test manager connect is story. Whatever we have assigned the model when we are integrating, but when we are building the collection to JIRA, the same model we need to select here. With that only the integration is possible because this will act as a bridge between both the applications. Click on save. Now come to the map fields and everything looks good for me. So click on done and click on configure relationships. There is no relationships. So click on done, click on done. So we have built the integration between JIRA story and the UiPath Test Manager requirements. So now we need to build the integration. So for that, we'll go to the integrations, click on new integration and work item synchronization. The repositories will select Atlassian JIRA and here it is test manager and the collection is story and here it is TM requirements. And here we can say JIRA TM story. Click on save. Once we click on save, we need to click on the artifact routing and we need to connect both of them. So the requirements and stories are going to be the bi-directional. Click on save, click on done and click on run. So now my integration is running. Now whatever I have created here as a story, that should get reflected here into the requirements. So I'll go to the activity and here there is a pending and it has got failed. It's saying that the reporter it could not able to fetch it properly. There is an error in terms of connect retrieving it. Anyhow, like reporter we are not using and we are not creating any custom labels for it. So what we will do is we'll go to the JIRA story, click on map fields. This created by is not required. Click on delete. Click on save. Click on done. Click on done. Now I'll go to the activity, and whatever is got failed is under the processing and it is got completed. See here, the story is properly synced with the test manager. If I go to the project in the test manager, click on requirements, I could able to see the story. Now we could able to synchronize the requirements between JIRA and the test manager. Let us create one requirement here, test manager requirement to JIRA. We'll see in case if we are getting any issues similar to that, like a reporter and all. So we will see that. Now we'll go to the activity and it will take a while because of the polling interval. So if we go to the settings, here polling interval is for 1 minute. We cannot reduce it to the seconds. If I try to change it to the seconds, it will not allow. It is asking at least 60 seconds is required. So I'll change it to minutes, or I can just simply click on cancel. And I can go to the activity now. And even the test management requirement is also flown to the JIRA. So if I refresh this, I could able to see both the requirement stories. And now we need to build the integration between the defects. So how we can create a defect from the test manager to JIRA? So that we will be looking at. For that, we need to build the collection. So whenever you want to integrate between two different artifacts, then you need to build a collections for them. So first I'll build a collection, work item collection for JIRA defect, JIRA bug. And I'll select JIRA connection and project. I'll select test manager integration, click on done. And here it is bug and here it is defect. Click on save. See here. So in case if we are not creating any same artifact in the JIRA, we are going to get this type of error because the JIRA is a customizable platform ALM tool. So we doesn't know what are the different fields we have for the JIRA. So now what we will do is we'll create a sample bug just for the fetching of the story fields to the test manager connect. Model bug. I'm just creating a model bug and description I'm writing it created for fetching fields from JIRA to test manager connect. Click on create. Now we have created a bug in JIRA. So I'll go back to my test manager connect. Now I'll click on save. Now we don't have any error and it is properly went well. Click on map fields and we'll see that all looks to be very good except the status and resolution because it requires some attention here. So we'll click on configure. So we'll map to do is with the new, and whatever the fixed or reopened is there, that will go under fixed and done. We can connect these two, and whatever is not connected needs mapping, we'll say that like it's a new. So reopen also will fall under to do. Click on save. Click on done. And again we have under the resolution as well. So for these also, done will be with the fixed and won't do and deferred, and anything which is there in declined state will be going to the deferred. Default will be deferred. Click on done. So we have done all the mappings and we don't have any warnings. So back to the field mapping and we'll see the configure relationships. So it's going to the blocks and blocks. So we'll keep it as of now and we'll let you know like why we are keeping this relation mapping as well. Click on done. Click on done. So now we have a JIRA bug as well. And now we need to create a test manager defect. Click on new collection, work item collections, test manager defect. And the repository we are going to select UiPath Test Manager, manage projects, JIRA integration selected, done. And defect, and here also it is defect. Click on save. Now we need to go to the map fields. So we have all the mapping fields and looks everything fine for me, and click on done. And in terms of configure relationships, what I want to do is assign to the requirements and to the blocks. So whenever we are creating a defect or a bug in JIRA, it should have a linked story. So these blocks will help us in order to get that linked stories. And click on save, click on done, click on done. So now my collections for the bug or defect is already done. Now I need to build an integration for that. So click on new integration, work item synchronization. So I can say JIRA PM defect and select JIRA connection, select test manager and bug, and here it is defect. Click on save. And now we need to do the artifact routing, connect. And defect is not bidirectional. It is always only single direction, but we'll keep it bidirectional and we'll see that like how actually the bidirectional is required. Click on save because we don't have any concept of defect in test manager. We cannot create defects in test manager, but we can create a defects in the bug in the JIRA. But that needs to be linked to the test manager. For that reason, we are keeping this bidirectional. Click on done and we'll run it and click on done. So now our integration is running for the defect as well. Now I'll come to the requirements and I'll just create one test case sample manual test case. Click on create and I'll go to the test case. Under the tasks, I'll assign a requirement which is created in the JIRA only. You can have this also, it's not a problem. Click on assign, click on manual steps. I'll just simply write step 1, step 2. Step 1, step 2. So I have 2 steps. I just wrote just to give the failure scenario. And under the test sets, I'll be creating a test set. Create. And to this test set, I'll be assigning the test cases, which is we created. Click on assign. Now we can run manual test case. So I'll just enter the comment that done as expected. That has passed. Failed to work as expected. That has failed. Click on done. Now my test case is filled. I go to the results, open test case, open execution. So from here, I can create a defect. Click on create defect. If I go to my integrations under the activities, so got failed because model bug cannot come from UiPath Test Manager to this. So this is fine. We'll figure it out what actually happening here. Click on refresh. This model bug is not required. Ignore this artifact. Refresh. My bug is got created. Sample manual test case is created and it is got created here. If I refresh this, sample manual test case is failed. But if I come back here and refresh, I cannot see that. I still could able to see that defect is being created. So what I will do is I'll just unlink this defect. Again, it will help me to create the defect again. And I'll come back here under the collection in UiPath Test Manager defect. Under the map fields, there are 2 things which we need to have. Link is nothing but the URL. The URL of the defect which is got created. And we'll click on connect. And also link label we will be having, which is nothing but the formatted ID. So I deleted the formatted ID just now. Click on connect. So now I can see the reflection back here. Click on save. Click on done. So if I come here, I'll refresh this. You can create defect. Now we are getting the defect is being created. And if I refresh, if I go to the activity and refresh, so it will take a while for the polling to happen. Refresh this. ES4 is got created long back. Is this? But we need to have one more bug here. Now we got the bug pulled and it is processing and it is completed. Now it could able to successfully create a bug here. So if I refresh it, I could able to say that TES5 is got created and come back to the test manager and refresh this page. Now I could able to see TES5 and I can open this bug from the JIRA and see here for the step one, whatever the comments we have, all the details we got, and also to which requirement it is linked, to which story against we are creating a bug. So we have this affected requirement as well. So in this way, we can build the integration between JIRA and UiPath Test Manager with the help of Test Manager Connect. And in case, let us assume that there are some more fields which you want to get reflected. So for that, we need to use the custom labels in order to reflect back and forth. And we need to manage that as part of our collections mapping to the model properly. So this is how we can integrate between the JIRA and UiPath Test Manager Connect, where we are not having X-ray. And in case if we are having X-ray, we can build more and more artifacts integration between these two. So hope you like the video and we'll see you in the next video. Thank you.